Hello students, welcome back to the economics class of plus 2 standard as we were working with lesson number 16 government budget. Previously we have done the types of budget and today our topic is components of budget. Under this we will cover revenue budget, capital budget. Next one is types of deficit in the budget. In this we will learn about revenue deficit, fiscal deficit and primary deficit. As you know that planning process of assessing revenue and expenditure is termed as budget. The term budget is derived from the French word baguette, which means leather bag or a wallet. It is a statement of the financial plan of the government. It shows the income and expenditure of the government during a financial year, which runs generally from 1st April till 31st March. Budget is most important information document of the government. One part of the government's budget is similar to company's annual report. This part presents the overall picture of the financial performance of the government. The second part of the budget presents government's financial plans for the period up to its next budget. So every citizen of a nation, from the common man to the politician, is eager to know about the budget, as they would like to get an idea of the budget. Financial performance of the government over the past 1 year. To know about the financial programs and policies of the government for the next 1 year. To know how their standard of living will be affected by the financial policies of the government in the next 1 year. According to Taylor, budget is a financial plan of the government for a definite period. According to Rainstorm, a budget is a document containing a preliminary approved plan of public revenues and expenditure. Components of budget. Budget has two broad components. First one is revenue budget and second one is capital budget. Revenue budget includes revenue receipts and revenue expenditure of the government. Capital budget includes capital receipts and capital expenditure of the government. So revenue receipts and revenue expenditure of the government are shown in the revenue account, while capital receipts and capital expenditure are shown in the capital account. Revenue budget. Items of receipts and items of expenditure. That is, receipts items are income tax, that is a source of revenue to the government, profit and dividends, income from interest, and non-tax income. Non-taxed income like fees, fines, penalties, escheats and forfeitures. Next one is items of revenue expenditure, that is expenditure on government services, interest payments, grants, subsidies, common economic services and public expenditure. Public expenditure like expenditure on roads, railways, public schools and government hospitals. Under the capital budget, items of receipts are gross domestic loans, gross foreign loans, loan repayment, payment from public services. And the items covered under capital expenditure are formation of monetary assets, collected funds and emergency funds. Let's discuss first of all revenue budget. This financial statement includes the revenue receipts of the government, that is, revenue collected by way of taxes and other receipts. Revenue budget also contains the items of expenditure met from such revenue. Next one is revenue receipts. These are the incomes which are received by the government from all sources in its ordinary course of governance. These receipts do not create a liability or lead to a reduction in assets. Revenue receipts are further classified as tax revenue and non-tax revenue. Tax revenue. Tax revenue consists of the income received from different taxes and other duties levied by the government. It is a major source of public revenue. Every citizen by law is bound to pay them and non-payment is punishable. Taxes are of two types, direct tax and indirect tax. First of all, we will discuss direct tax. Direct taxes means which have to be paid by a person on whom these taxes are levied. For example, income tax, property tax, corporation tax, estate duty, all these are known as direct taxes. The burden of these taxes cannot be shifted to someone else. There is no direct benefit to the taxpayer also. Indirect taxes. Indirect taxes are those taxes which are levied on the commodities and services and affect the income of a person through their consumption expenditure. Here the burden can be shifted to some other person. For example, custom duty tax, sales tax, service tax, entertainment tax, excise duties, all these are indirect taxes. But nowadays in India, in place of all these indirect taxes, there is one tax, that is GST, goods and service tax. Non-tax revenue, a part of taxes. Governments also receive revenue from other non-tax sources. The non-tax sources of public revenue are as follows. First one is fees. The government provides variety of services for which fees have to be paid. For example, registration fee, birth and death fee it is there, school fees, college fees, licensing fees. All these are non-tax sources of revenue to the government. Next one is fines and penalties. Fines and penalties are imposed by the government for not following or violating the rules and regulations, like journey by train but without ticket, breaking the rules on the road, then you have to pay the fine. Challan it is there, so that is fines and penalties. Profit from public sector enterprises under the non-tax revenue. Many enterprises are owned and managed by the government. Profits received from them is an important source of non-tax revenue. For example, in India, Indian Railways, Oil and Natural Gas Commission, Air India, Indian Airlines are owned by the Government of India. The profit generated by them is a source of revenue to the government. Next one is gifts and grants. Gifts and grants are received by the government when there are natural calamities like earthquakes, floods, famines, etc. Citizens of the country, foreign governments, and international organizations like UNICEF and UNESCO, etc., donate during times of natural calamities. Special assessment duty. Under the non-tax revenue, special assessment duty is a type of levy imposed by the government on the people for getting some special benefit. For example, in a particular locality, if roads are improved, property prices will rise, and not only due to roads, due to the market near to the colony, the property owners in that locality will benefit due to the appreciation in the value of property. Therefore, the government imposes a levy on them, which is known as special assessment duties. India's revenue receipts. The tax revenue provides major share of revenue receipts to the central government of India. In 2006 till 7, tax revenue, that is direct taxes like income tax, wealth tax, property tax, corporate tax, plus indirect taxes like GST of central government was rupees 3,27,205 crore, while non-tax revenue was rupees 76,260 crores. Direct taxes like income tax, corporation tax, property tax, inheritance tax, gift tax, wealth tax. Indirect taxes like custom duty, excise duty, service tax, sales tax, and VAT. Revenue receipts. Tax. It is a revenue receipt as it neither creates any liability nor reduces any asset. Grants received from the World Bank. It is a source of revenue receipts as it does not create any liability nor reduces any asset of the government. Next one is profits of public sector undertakings. It is a revenue receipts as it neither creates liability nor reduces any asset of the government. Next one is foreign aid against earthquake victims. It is a revenue receipt as it neither creates any liability nor reduces any asset of the government. In the same way, dividends on investment made government. It is a revenue receipt as it is neither create any liability nor reduce any asset of the government. Interest received. It is a revenue receipt as it neither creates any liability nor reduces any asset. Revenue expenditure. Revenue expenditure is the expenditure incurred on the routine, usual and normal day-to-day running of government departments and provision of various services to citizens. It includes both development and non-development expenditure of the central government. Usually, expenditure that do not result in the creation of assets are considered revenue expenditures. Now, revenue expenditure that is for the development budget items are energy, transport, local government, education, agriculture, health, others and public administration and social security. And non-developmental budget, it is unexpected mishappenings, miscellaneous, subsidies, pension, acquisition of assets, goods and services, grants in aid, interest, pay and allowances. Expenses included in revenue expenditure. Revenue expenditure includes the following. First one is expenditure incurred by the government on consumption of goods and services. Expenditure incurred on agricultural and industrial development, scientific research, education, health and social services. Expenditure on defense and civil administration. Expenditure on exports and external affairs. Grants given to state governments, even if some of them may be used for creation of assets. Payment of interest on loans taken in the previous year. Expenditure on subsidies. India's defense expenditure. In 2006 and 7, defense expenditure of the central government of India was rupees 51,542 crore. Capital budget. This part of the budget includes receipts and expenditure on capital account projected for next financial year. Capital budget consists of capital receipts and capital expenditure. Capital receipts which creates a liability or result in a reduction in assets. These are called capital receipts. Capital receipts obtained by the government by raising funds through borrowings, recovery of loans and disposing of assets. Next one is items included in capital receipts. The main items of capital receipts, that is income, are loans raised by the government from the public through the sale of bonds and securities. They are called market operations. Borrowings by the government from RBI and other financial institutions through which the sale of treasury bills is there. Loans and aids received from foreign countries and other international organizations like International Monetary Fund. Next one is items included in capital receipts are receipts from small saving schemes like National Saving Scheme, Provident Fund. Small saving refers to funds raised from the public in the form of post office deposits, National Savings Certificates, that is NSCs, Kisan Vikas Patras. All these are the examples of small savings. Recoveries of loans granted to the state and union territory governments and other parties. So these items are included in capital receipts and comes under capital budget. Next one is disinvestment. As you are familiar with the name, disinvestment means the policy of the government under which the government selling a part or a whole of shares of selection public sector undertakings held by the government. So they are termed as capital receipts as they reduce the assets of the government. A part or whole of its shares, it leads to transfer of ownership, public sector undertaking to the private enterprises. Capital receipts. Loan from the World Bank. It is a capital receipt as it creates liability for the government because government has to pay this loan back with interest. So sale of public sector undertakings, it is a special capital receipt as it reduces assets of the government. Borrowings from public, it is a capital receipt as it creates liability of returning the loan with interest. Recovery of loans. Recovery of loans is a capital receipt as it reduces assets of the government because the mortgage on the behalf of which the people have taken loans from the government. On the maturity date, the government has to return these mortgage assets to the public bank, and in this way there is reduction in the assets of the government. Capital expenditure. Any projected expenditure which is incurred for creating asset with a long life is capital expenditure. Capital expenditure on the land, machines, equipment, irrigation projects, oil exploration and expenditure by way of investment in long-term physical or financial assets are capital expenditure. Under the capital expenditure, next one is capital expenditure refers to the expenditure which either creates assets or causes a reduction in the liabilities of the government. It is a non-recurring in nature. It adds to capital stock of the economy and increases its productivity through expenditure on long period like metro, railways or flyovers. The expenditure must create an asset for the government. For example, school, buildings, construction is capital expenditure as it leads to a creation of asset. In the same way, hospital building construction, it is also capital expenditure. However, any amount paid as salaries to the teachers is not a capital expenditure. Loan to the states and union territories expenditure on building roads, flyovers, etc. That is known as capital expenditure. Construction of school buildings. It is a capital expenditure as it increases asset of the government. Expenditure incurred on administrative. It is a revenue expenditure as it neither creates nor reduces any liability of the government. Repayment of loan. It is a capital expenditure as it reduces the assets of the government. Expenditure on building a bridge. It is a capital expenditure as it increases assets of the government. Payments of salaries to staff of government. It is a revenue expenditure as it neither creates any asset or reduce any liability of the government. Purchase of 20 cranes for the flyovers. So capital expenditure because it increases assets of the government. Types of deficit in budget. There can be different types of deficit in a budget depending upon the types of receipts and expenditure we take into consideration. Accordingly, there are three concepts of deficit, namely revenue deficit, fiscal deficit, primary deficit. Although budget deficit and revenue deficit are old ones, but fiscal deficit and primary deficit are of recent origin. Budgetary deficit is the excess of total expenditure, both revenue and capital, over total receipts, both revenue and capital. Following are three types or the measures of deficit. First one is revenue deficit. It is equals to total revenue expenditure minus total revenue receipts. In case of fiscal deficit, it is equals to total expenditure minus receipts excluding borrowings. Next one is primary deficit. It is equals to the fiscal deficit minus interest payments. Revenue deficit. Revenue deficit is excess of total revenue expenditure of the government over its total revenue receipts. It is related to only revenue expenditure and revenue receipts of the government, or alternatively the shortfall of total revenue receipts compared to the total revenue expenditure. It is defined as revenue deficit. Revenue deficit signifies that government's own earning is insufficient to meet normal functioning of the government departments and provision of services. Revenue deficit results in borrowing. Simply put, revenue deficit when government spends more than what it collects by the way of revenue, it incurs revenue deficit. Revenue deficit includes only such transactions which affect current income and expenditure of the government. Revenue deficit, it is equals to total revenue expenditure minus total revenue receipts. For instance, revenue deficit in government budget estimates for the year 2012 till 13, it is equals to rupees 3,50,424 crore, that is equals to revenue expenditure rupees 12,86,109 crore minus revenue receipts, it is equals to 9,35,685 crore. It reflects government's failure to meet its revenue expenditure fully from its revenue receipts. The deficit is to be met from capital receipts, that is through borrowings and sale of its assets. Given the same level of fiscal deficit, a higher revenue deficit is worse than lower one because it implies a higher repayment burden in future that is not matched by benefits via investment. Remedial measures. A high revenue deficit warns the government either to curtail its expenditure or increase its tax and non-tax receipts. Thus, main remedies are: government should raise rate of taxes, especially on rich people, and any new taxes where possible. Second point is, government should try to reduce its expenditure and avoid unnecessary expenditure. Main implications are: reduction in assets. Revenue deficit indicates these savings on the government account because government has to make up the uncovered gap by drawing upon capital receipts either through borrowing or through sale of its assets, that is known as disinvestment. Inflationary situation. Since borrowed funds from capital account are used to meet generally consumption expenditure of the government, it leads to inflationary situation in the economy with all its ills. Thus, revenue deficit may result either in increasing government liabilities or in reduction of government assets. Remember, revenue deficit is a burden in future without the benefit arising from investment. Next point is more revenue deficit. Large borrowings to meet revenue deficit will increase debt burden due to repayment liability and interest payments. This may lead to a larger and larger revenue deficit in future. Fiscal deficit. Fiscal deficit means as excess of total budget expenditure over total budget receipts, excluding borrowings during a fiscal year. In simple words, it is amount of borrowing the government has to resort to meet its expenditure. A large deficit means a large amount of borrowing. Fiscal deficit is a measure of how much the government needs to borrow from the market to meet its expenditure when its resources are inadequate. Fiscal deficit. It is equals to total expenditure both on revenue account and capital account. Total expenditure minus revenue receipts minus non-debt creating capital receipts. Here non-debt creating capital receipts are those receipts which are not borrowings and do not give rise to debt. Recovery of loans and the proceeds from the sale of public sector undertakings are examples of such receipts. Fiscal deficit is financed through borrowings. If we add borrowings in total receipts, fiscal deficit it is 0. So fiscal deficit gives borrowing requirements of the government. Let it be noted that safe limit of fiscal deficit is considered to be 5% of the GDP. Again, borrowing includes not only accumulated debt, that is amount of loan, but also interest on debt and interest on loan. If we deduct interest payments on debt from borrowing, the balance is called primary deficit. So fiscal deficit formula, it is equals to total expenditure minus revenue receipts minus capital receipts excluding borrowings. A little reflection will show that fiscal deficit is in fact equal to borrowings. Thus fiscal deficit gives the borrowing requirement of the government. Can there be fiscal deficit without a revenue deficit? Yes, it is possible. How? Let's discuss. When revenue budget it is balanced, but capital budget shows a deficit, then there is deficit without fiscal, there is a deficit of the fiscal without a revenue deficit. Next point is when revenue budget is in surplus but deficit in capital budget is greater than the surplus of revenue budget. Importance. Fiscal deficit shows the borrowing requirements of the government during the budget year. Greater fiscal deficit implies greater borrowing by the government. The extent of fiscal deficit indicates the amount of expenditure for which the government has to borrow money. For example, fiscal deficit in government budget estimates for 2012 till 13 is rupees 5 and 13,590 crore, that is equals to 14,90,925 minus 9,35,685 plus 11,650 plus 30,000. This will give you rupees 5,13,590 crore. It means about 18% of expenditure is to be met by borrowing. But mind it, As more borrowing means there is increase in the liabilities of the government. Implications. First one is debt trap. Fiscal deficit, it is financed by borrowing, and borrowing creates the problem of not only the payment of interest but also of repayment of loans. As the government borrowings increases, its liability in future to repay loans amount along with interest thereon also increases. Payment of interest increases revenue expenditure, leading to higher revenue deficit. Ultimately, government may be compelled to borrow to finance even interest payment, leading to emergence of vicious circle and debt trap. Wasteful expenditure. High fiscal deficit leads to wasteful and unnecessary expenditure by the government. It creates inflationary pressure in the economy. Inflationary pressure means when government borrow from the foreign countries or any other resources, the supply of money in the economy, it will be more, but the output remains the same, and this will lead to higher prices of the goods and services. In this way, inflationary pressure exists in the economy. Inflationary pressure, as government borrow from RBI, which meet this demand by printing of more currency notes, called deficit financing. It results in circulation of money supply. This may cause inflationary pressure in the economy. Next one is partial use. The entire amount of fiscal deficit, that is borrowing, is not available for growth and development of economy, because a part of it is used for interest payment. Only primary deficit, that is fiscal deficit minus interest payment, it is available for financing the expenditure. Next point is retards future growth. Borrowing is in fact financial burden on future generation to pay loan and interest amount, which retards growth of economy. Next one is how is fiscal deficit met, that is by borrowing. Since fiscal deficit is the excess of government total expenditure over its total receipts excluding borrowings, therefore borrowing is the only way to finance fiscal deficit. It should be noted that safe level of fiscal deficit is considered to be 5% of the GDP. Borrowing from domestic sources. Fiscal deficit can be met by borrowing from domestic sources, for example, public and commercial banks. Borrowing from domestic sources also include tapping of money deposits in provident fund and small saving schemes. Borrowing from public to deal with deficit is considered better than deficit financing because it does not increase the money supply, which is regarded as the main cause of rising prices. Borrowing from external sources. For instance, borrowing from the World Bank, IMF, that is International Monetary Fund, and foreign reserves or foreign banks. Next one is deficit financing, printing of new currency notes. Another measure to meet fiscal deficit is by borrowing from Reserve Bank of India, that is RBI. Government issues currency, treasury bills, which RBI buys in returns for cash from the government. This cash is created by RBI by printing new currency notes against government securities. Thus, it is an easy way to raise funds, but it carries with it adverse effect also. Its implication is that money supply increases in the economy and output remains the same, and creating inflationary trends and other ills that results from deficit financing. Therefore, deficit financing, if at all it is unavoidable, should be kept within safe limits. Is fiscal deficit advantageous? Fiscal deficit depends upon its use. Fiscal deficit is advantageous to any economy if it creates new capital assets which increase productive capacity and generate future income stream. On the contrary, it is detrimental for the economy if it is used just to cover revenue deficit. Measures to reduce fiscal deficit. Measures to reduce public expenditure are a drastic reduction in expenditure on major subsidies, reduction in expenditure on bonus, LTC, leaves encashment, etc. Austerity steps to curtail non-planned expenditure. Measures to increase revenue are: tax base should be broadened and concessions and reduction in taxes should be curtailed. Tax evasion should be effectively checked. More emphasis on direct taxes to increase revenue. Restructuring and sale of shares in public sector units. These are the measures to increase revenue. Primary deficit. Primary deficit means as fiscal deficit of current year minus interest payments on previous borrowings. In other words, whereas fiscal deficit indicates borrowing requirement and inclusive of interest payment, primary deficit indicates borrowing requirement exclusive of interest payment, that is amount of loan. We have seen that borrowing requirement of the government includes not only accumulated debt but also interest payment on the debt. So if we deduct interest payment on debt from borrowing, the balance is called primary deficit. Primary deficit shows how much government borrowing is going to meet expenses other than interest payments. So zero primary deficit means the government has to resort to borrowing only to make interest payments. To know the amount of borrowing on account of current expenditure over revenue, we need to calculate primary deficit. Thus, primary deficit, it is equals to fiscal deficit minus interest payments. Importance of fiscal deficit. Fiscal deficit reflects the borrowing requirements of the government for financing the expenditure inclusive of interest payments. As against it, primary deficit shows the borrowing requirements of the government including interest payments for meeting expenditure. Thus, if primary deficit is zero, then fiscal deficit is equals to interest payment. Then it is not adding to the existing loan. Thus, primary deficit is a narrower concept as it is a part of fiscal deficit because the latter also includes interest payments. It is generally used as a basic measure of fiscal irresponsibility. The difference between fiscal deficit and primary deficit reflects the amount of interest payments on public debt incurred in the past. Thus, a lower or zero primary deficit means that while its interest commitments on earlier loans have forced the government to borrow, it has realized the need to tighten its belt. GST means goods and service tax. Students, as you know that previously in India there is a long list of indirect taxes like taxes on sale of the commodities, taxes on the production of commodities in the form of excise duty, and taxes on the import and export of the commodities in the form of custom duty. So there are many other indirect taxes like service tax, entertainment tax, it was there. But now in India, in place of all these taxes, the government has one tax, that is GST, that is goods and services tax. So goods and service tax is a comprehensive tax levy on manufacture, sale and consumption of goods and service at a national level. GST is a tax on goods and services with value addition at each stage. GST will include many state and central level indirect taxes. So GST overcomes drawback present tax system. Features of GST. GST would be applicable on supply of goods and services. GST would be based on the principle of destination based consumption taxation as against the present principle of origin based taxation. GST levied by center is called CGST and GST levied by the state, it is called SGST. Union territories without legislature would levy union territory, that is known as UTGST. Integrated GST would be of goods and services, that is IGST. Purpose of the study of the GST. The introduction of goods and services tax would be a very significant step in the field of indirect tax reforms in India. By merging a large number of central and state taxes into a single tax, that is GST, would reduce cascading. Cascading means double taxation in a big way and pave the way for a common national market. From the consumer point of view, the biggest advantage would be in terms of reduction in the overall tax burden on goods, which is currently estimated to be around 25% till 30%. Introduction of GST would also make Indian products competitive in the domestic and international market. GST would have a boosting impact on economic growth. GST would replace the following taxes, that is central excise duty, duties of excise on medicinal and toilet preparations, additional duties of excise, that is textiles and textiles products. Next one is additional duties of excise, that is goods of special importance. Next one is special additional duties of customs and service tax. Now the state taxes are also, that is state value added tax, central sales tax, purchase tax, luxury tax, entry tax, entertainment tax, taxes on advertisement, taxes on lotteries, betting and gambling. GST would apply to all goods and services except alcohol for human consumption. There is a list of some commodities on which no GST is there, that is jute, fresh meat, fish, chicken, eggs, milk, buttermilk, curd, natural honey, fresh fruits and vegetables, flour, besan, bread, prasad, salt, bindi. On these items there is no GST. Now there will be a tax of 5% imposed in the products like fish fillet, apparel below rupees 1000, packaged food items, footwear below rupees 500, cream and skimmed milk powder, branded paneer, frozen vegetables, tea and coffee, spices, pizza bread, rusk, sabudana, kerosene, coal, medicines, stent, lifeboats and cashew. Now there are some items on which there is a 12% of GST, that is frozen meat products, butter, sausages, ghee, pickles, fruit juices, namkeen, tooth powder, instant food mix, umbrella, medicine, cell phones, man-made yarn, wooden frames for painting, photographs, brass kerosene, pressure stove, artware of iron and mirrors. And there are other products on which 28% of GST it is there. These goods are pan masala, aerated water and beverages, cigars and cigarettes, tobacco products, cement paints, perfumes, ACs, dishwashing machine, washing machine, refrigerators, vacuum cleaners, cars and two-wheelers, aircrafts and yachts. So students, hope you have understood the topic of budget. Now it's time to note down the homework. Question number 1 is, define the following terms with examples: inflation, revenue deficit, budgetary policy. Question number 2 is, giving examples, distinguish between revenue expenditure and capital expenditure. Question number 3 is, how is fiscal deficit financed? Question number 4 is, differentiate between fiscal deficit and primary deficit. Question number 5 is, what are the implications of revenue deficit? And students, please go through the links on the YouTube for more clarity, and hope you all will complete the notes in your fair copy for better learning. Thank you for listening, students.